I accused my wife and Mael of being jealous of my mom's 2-month honeymoon instead of helping with our newborn. Now my marriage might be over. My wife and I recently had a beautiful baby boy. My mom got married right before he was born and left for a 2-month honeymoon. I didn't think anything of it, to be honest. She was a great mom and gave me everything growing up, and right now, she should be focused on herself. Also, my wife doesn't even like her, so I doubt she would have been very involved in the 4th trimester. My wife and Mill think my mom is horrible for choosing a trip over meeting her grandson and have been making snarky comments for months about what kind of woman could do that. It is annoying because I don't agree, and even if I did, she is my mom, and they shouldn't be bashing her in front of me. My mom is home but currently isn't allowed over because she was in Africa and Asia and on multiple planes, and we just want to play it safe when it comes to germs. My wife was complaining about her the other day and how she has been of zero help, and a real mom would show up like her mom did. She said, "Who has ever heard of a 2-month honeymoon? El Mao, who wouldn't go on a 2-month honeymoon if they could." Mael piped in that my mom must be damaged from having me so young if she thinks this is appropriate. I got annoyed and said they need to stop as they are clearly jealous. MIL because FIL is a cheating pose, but she can't leave because she has never worked, and my wife because we will probably never be able to afford a trip like that. Meal blew up and yelled at me for disrespecting her daughter. My wife burst into tears and hasn't spoken to me. Update 1. I wasn't expecting to get this much attention on my original post, but since things have escalated, I figured I'd give an update. First off, thank you to everyone who took the time to comment, even those who were a bit harsh. It's given me a lot to think about. So, after my wife and Mael's meltdown, I tried to give them some space. My wife wouldn't talk to me for a couple of days, and I was feeling pretty isolated, to be honest. It didn't help that every time I tried to bring up the topic, she'd start crying or walk away. I finally decided to sit her down and have a serious conversation. I told her that while I understand her frustration and exhaustion as a new mom, I felt like it wasn't fair to constantly bash my mom, especially when she's done nothing wrong in my eyes. I mentioned how the comments about her honeymoon felt more like personal jabs than genuine concerns. My wife admitted that she felt abandoned by her own mother growing up and was projecting some of that onto the situation. She said she was also feeling really insecure about not being able to give our son the kind of perfect family she always wanted. As for my Mill, she's been giving me the cold shoulder, which, honestly, I can live with. My wife did tell her to ease up on the mom bashing, but Miel just shrugged it off, saying she was only looking out for her daughter. One thing that really stood out to me was how much my wife was struggling with not having my mom around. She said she didn't realize how much she was relying on the idea of having some extra help until it wasn't there. It made me feel guilty, not for defending my mom, but for not being more supportive of my wife. She's been dealing with a lot, and I hadn't really acknowledged that. After we talked, I made more of an effort to be there for her and to give her the support she was missing. I stepped up with the baby more, and we even arranged for her mom to take care of the baby for a few hours so we could have a break. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. My mom called after her. Quarantine was over and asked when she could visit. I hesitated but eventually told her she could come by, but I also made it clear that there were some boundaries we needed to respect. My wife was still feeling raw about everything, and I didn't want to make things worse. Mom came over and things were awkward. My wife was polite but distant, and my mom could tell something was off. After a bit, my mom pulled me aside and asked what was going on. I didn't get into the details, but I did mention that there was some tension because of the timing of her honeymoon. My mom seemed surprised and a bit hurt, but she didn't push it. Anyway, we're still working through things, but at least we're talking. I'm trying to balance being a good husband and son, but it's not easy. I'll update if anything changes, but right now, I'm just hoping things settle down. Update 2. Hey everyone, back with another update because wow, things have not settled down like I hoped. So after my mom's visit, I thought we were on the right track. But things have gotten worse. My wife has become increasingly distant, and no matter what I do, I can't seem to get through to her. I've tried talking, giving her space, helping out more with the baby. Nothing seems to work. Then, the other night, I overheard her on the phone with her mom. She was venting about how she feels like she's doing everything alone and how my mom's absence during those first couple of months really affected her. She even said she felt like she didn't have a partner anymore. because I was more concerned about defending my mom than supporting her. Hearing that was a gut punch. I thought I was doing my best to juggle everything, but clearly I've been failing in her eyes. The real kicker came when she said she wasn't sure if she could keep doing this. She didn't say the D word, but it was heavily implied. That freaked me out, so I confronted her after she got off the phone. I told her I heard what she said and asked if she really felt like our marriage was on the line. She didn't answer right away, just started crying, which made me feel even worse. Eventually, she said she didn't know what she wanted anymore. She's overwhelmed, tired, and feels like she's been abandoned not just by my mom, but by me too. She admitted she's been talking to a therapist about everything, which I didn't even know she was doing. That stung, but I'm glad she's getting help. I told her I'd do whatever it takes to make things right, but she didn't seem convinced. We ended up sleeping in separate rooms that night, and since then things have been tense. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around her. On top of all that, MIL has been ramping up her involvement, which is only making things more complicated. She's been at our house almost every day, and while she's been helpful with the baby, she's also made it clear that she thinks I'm the one to blame for all of this. She doesn't say it outright, but the passive-aggressive comments and side-eyes are impossible to ignore. At this point, I'm really at a loss. I don't want to lose my wife, but I don't know how to fix this. Part of me thinks maybe I should have just let her and my mill talk trash about my mom, but another part of me knows that would have only made things worse in the long run. I've considered suggesting marriage counseling, but I'm worried she'll see it as me trying to fix her when really, I'm the one who screwed up. I just want things to go back to the way they were before all this drama, but I'm starting to realize that might not be possible. I'm open to any advice because I'm out of ideas, and I'm really scared about where this is heading. Update 3. I'm back with what might be my final update. I wish I had better news, but things have reached a breaking point. After my last update, I took a lot of your advice to heart and suggested to my wife that we try marriage counseling. She agreed, but it was clear that she was hesitant. We found a therapist who specializes in postpartum issues and started going to sessions once a week. The sessions were rough. It became clear pretty quickly that my wife had been bottling up a lot of resentment, not just about my mom's absence, but also about how I handled things in general. She felt like I wasn't really present, like I was just going through the motions without really supporting her emotionally. Hearing that was tough because I genuinely thought I was doing my best. One thing that really came out in therapy was how deeply hurt she was by the fact that I accused her and my MIL of being jealous. She said that comment made her feel like I didn't respect or value her feelings, and it only added to the emotional distance between us. I tried to apologize, but it felt like too little, too late. After a few sessions, my wife told me that she needed some time apart to figure out what she wanted. She said she still loved me, but she didn't know if she could get past everything that had happened. I was devastated, but told her I'd give her the space she needed. She moved in with her mom for a while, taking our son with her. That was probably the hardest part, coming home to an empty house. We've been separated for about a month now, and in that time, I've been doing a lot of soul-searching. I've realized that I was so focused on defending my mom and trying to keep the peace that I completely missed how much my wife was struggling. I should have been more understanding and supportive instead of dismissive. I've been trying to keep in touch with her, but she's been distant. We've talked a few times about our son, but that's it. She hasn't brought up anything about our relationship, and I'm scared to push her on it. My mom has been supportive, but I can tell she feels guilty about the role she played in all of this. She's offered to help more now, but with my wife and son not here, it feels like too little, too late. I've also had to set some boundaries with my MIL, who has made it clear that she thinks my wife and I should just split up. I told her that decision is between my wife and me, and she needs to back off. Right now, I'm just taking things day by day. I don't know if my wife and I will be able to work things out, but I'm hoping that with time and space, we can find a way to move forward, whether that's together or apart. This isn't the ending I wanted, but it's where we are. Thanks to everyone who followed along and offered advice. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm trying to stay hopeful.